Part 3, A Confession. The night air was crisp and still, save for the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Sister Lucia sat alone in the church, her fingers tracing the worn wood of the pew as she lost herself in silent prayer. The flickering candlelight cast a warm glow, casting shadows that danced across the ancient stone walls. Suddenly, the creak of the heavy oak doors drew Lucia's attention. She turned to see Damien silhouetted in the entryway, his tall frame framed by the moonlight. Her heart skipped a beat as he approached, his footsteps echoing through the empty sanctuary. Damien moved with a sense of purpose, his eyes fixed on Lucia. As he drew closer, she could see the tension in his brow, the vulnerability etched in his features. He settled into the pew beside her, the proximity sending a flutter through her chest. For a long moment, they sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. Lucia felt her pulse quicken, unsure of what to say or do. Finally, Damien cleared his throat, his voice low and hesitant.
Sister Lucia, I need to talk to you.
He paused, his gaze searching her face.
I've been coming here, to this church, because it's the only place I feel at peace.
Lucia listened, her eyes locked with his. She could see the weight of his words, the turmoil behind his expression.
I know I'm not exactly the type of person who should be seeking solace in a house of God.
Damien continued, a wry smile tugging at the corners of his mouth.
But there's something about this place, about you, that makes me feel different.
He shifted in his seat, his fingers fidgeting with the worn leather of his jacket.
I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud of. Mistakes that have haunted me, choices that have left me feeling lost and alone.
His voice wavered, and Lucia felt a pang of empathy.
But when I'm here, with you, I feel understood. Accepted, even.
Damien turned to face her, his eyes shining with vulnerability.
I know I have no right to feel this way, to want what I want, but I can't ignore it anymore.
Lucia's breath caught in her throat as she realized the implication of his words. She had sensed the growing connection between them, the unspoken bond that had formed despite her vows. But hearing Damien's confession, the raw honesty in his voice, shook her to her core.
Damien,
She faltered, her own emotions threatening to spill over.
I don't know what to say.
He reached out, his hand hovering just above hers, as if asking for permission.
I know this is wrong, that it goes against everything you've dedicated your life to. But I can't help how I feel.
His voice dropped to a whisper.
I'm in love with you, Lucia.
Lucia felt the weight of his words, the vulnerability and longing in his gaze. She wanted to pull away, to retreat behind the safety of her vows, but something inside her held her in place. She could feel the warmth of his hand, the electricity that seemed to crackle between them.
Damien,
She paused, her mind racing.
I don't know what to say. This is not something I can simply ignore or dismiss.
She took a deep breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears.
My faith, my vows, they are a part of who I am. I cannot abandon them, no matter how much my heart may long for something else.
Damien's face fell, the hope in his eyes dimming.
I understand.
He murmured, his hand dropping back to his lap.
I shouldn't have burdened you with this. It was selfish of me.
Lucia reached out, her fingers brushing against his.
Damien, please don't think that way. Your feelings, they are not a burden to me. I care for you, more than I should. But I am a sister, and my duty is to God, to my faith.
He nodded, his jaw tightening as he fought to maintain his composure.
I know. I knew this, deep down. I had to tell you, to be honest with you, and with myself.
They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their words hanging heavy in the air. Lucia could feel the conflict within her, the tug-of-war between her heart and her vows. She wanted to reach out, to offer him comfort, but she knew that to do so would be to cross a line she could never return from. Damien rose from the pew, his movements slow and deliberate.
I should go.
He murmured, his gaze downcast.
I'm sorry for putting you in this position, Lucia. I never meant to cause you pain.
Lucia watched as he made his way towards the door, her heart aching with the realization that she could not follow him, not in the way he longed for. As the heavy oak doors closed behind him, she felt a single tear slip down her cheek, the weight of her decision heavy on her soul. In the silence that followed, Lucia knew that her life would never be the same. The connection she shared with Damien had awakened something deep within her, a longing that she had never anticipated. But her faith, her vows, they were the foundation upon which she had built her life. And as much as her heart yearned for Damien, she knew that she could not abandon them, no matter the cost. With a heavy sigh, Lucia rose from the pew, her steps slow and deliberate. She moved towards the altar, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings, her mind lost in a whirlwind of emotions. As she knelt before the flickering candles, she closed her eyes and prayed, her heart seeking guidance and strength in the face of this unexpected and overwhelming challenge. The night wore on, and Lucia remained in the church, her soul grappling with the weight of her decision. She knew that the path ahead would not be an easy one, but she was determined to find a way to reconcile her faith and her heart, to find a balance that would allow her to continue serving God while also honoring the love that had blossomed in her heart. Please subscribe for the last part.